Okay, welcome everyone to today's amazing podcast interview, whatever you want to call it. Today as my guest we have Kasper from Finland, age 22, so a young agency owner, king of branding, running an amazing lead generation agency called Leevi, growing super fast, one of the fastest growing agencies that I've seen in years, and we're going to be talking about that today. Last month, for example, they booked 256 discovery calls, so I'm going to be grilling him on how to make that happen. And yeah, he's also a member of our Agent Velocity Mastermind, so that's also why I was lucky enough to get him here. How are you doing, man? Like the really basic starting question. How are you doing? How's life?
Great, to be honest. A lot of growth recently, so I'm kind of excited about it. But to be completely honest, like working non-stop, 24/7, just like waking up, or open up Slack, and then pretty much just working from morning till evening. So yeah, pretty good, but I would say that it's hectic times right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've seen your screens of your calendar.
Yeah.
How long are you working days on? Do you work like 7 days a week? How much do you work a week right now?
At this point, probably like 7 days a week. To be honest, I try to like squeeze myself a workout in the morning just to have my brain operating. But sometimes I notice that I'm just like in the morning run, I'm like looking at Slack whilst I'm running. So it's one of those seasons of life. Right now, I just gotta sacrifice pretty much everything, I guess. But just working from, I guess, like 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. at this point. But that's obviously not the dream. But for this moment, it's definitely like the season that I'm in.
Yeah, just necessary. How does it feel? Like, because obviously, at least for me, I remember when I have been in those seasons, I always forget that. Damn, this is actually what I have been dreaming about, but you forget it. You're like, oh, this is so shit. Yeah. How do you feel when you go through weeks like that?
I mean, it's like when you're so busy, you can't like really think. You're just like the next task, and the next task, and then you gotta like whatever you gotta do with client stuff, sales stuff. So you're not like really like calming yourself down and thinking about the progress so far. But then you sometimes catch yourself, like for example today when I came here, I'm just like listening to some meditative audio, and I'm like, fuck, like what is happening? Like we're making these kind of numbers, and I'm going to a podcast. Like what is this?
Yeah,
so
a huge
sometimes,
professional podcast.
Exactly. You guys don't see how many cameras are there. It's insane. I've never been in front of like 7 cameras at the same time. So, but yeah, I mean, once you're like kind of in it, you're just in it. You don't really see the big picture, but sometimes when you zoom out, you can kind of tell that okay, like this is not normal. In many ways.
Yeah, that's true, 100%. But yeah, so the first question that I have written down, so we are professionals, we have questions written down. So the first thing that I would just love you to like start it out with is really basic stuff. Like, can you just a little bit like tell me about your like, when did you start? What are you doing? Obviously, I mentioned that you run Leevi, but what is Leevi? Who are you? Just like a basic background check, almost like in a job interview.
Yeah. So pretty much, I'm 22, Kasper by the name, and for the past few years, I've been doing more or less marketing, digital marketing. In the beginning, it was like paid ads. Then it went to lead generation. Kind of found myself like really succeeding with lead gen. So stick with it. But yeah, I used to play hockey for pretty much all of my life. My identity was I'm a hockey player. That's it. But then I went to college. I was a student athlete. I kind of noticed the route that I was taking, and it wasn't really what I dreamt about. So I had to make a quick change to my plans and decided to go all in on pretty much being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Did it come naturally, or was it like something that you first thought, okay, what do I want to do in life, and then you decided, okay, it just makes sense for me to be an entrepreneur and start my own business? Or was it like just a natural thing that, okay, if it's not going to be hockey, this is going to be the thing?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching my dad play hockey, so I was like, that was the dream. I wanted to be exactly like my dad pretty much. But then I kind of noticed the route that I was going for, and there's this exact moment when I was in Lake Como and I saw kind of how beautiful it is. It was the Dolce Vita. I was like drinking cappuccino and seeing the lakes and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just had a moment like, I can't live the life that I want if I keep being a hockey player. And then I was thinking like, okay, well, what should I do then? Like, should I go to a 9 to 5? Should I try to play hockey in Italy, or like, what should I do here? And then I kind of started thinking about like, perhaps I should be an entrepreneur. That's kind of how I am, I guess. I'm like, I always knew that I'm going to be something a little bit perhaps more than just the average guy. Like I I kind of brainwashed myself to be more than just the average, and I saw the results of it. For example, I used to be kind of like perhaps not the best hockey player, but then all of a sudden I had like a great season and everything went well, and then after that a lot of growth. So I kind of had the proof of concept, like if I work hard, I'm gonna be getting the success that I want. So then I just decided like fuck hockey pretty much.
Yeah.
Let's go to entrepreneurship. I can reap the rewards later on, and that was a good decision, I guess.
That's amazing. So was Leevi, I think Leevi probably wasn't your first business that you started. You mentioned that you did some paid ads. What did you do before you got into like lead gen and stuff?
Well, pretty much it was, long story short, the name was still Leevi. But
was it?
Yeah.
Damn.
I remember in college, I bought the name Leevi. I was like, oh, this name is so good, like leads, because if I want to do lead gen later on, and then it was like ads in the in the middle, and then I was like, oh, lead, I can lead. I don't know, it just sounded good, so I went ahead with the Leevi name, and yeah, I saw a few opportunities in the market. There was like this political like election in Finland, and I kind of saw an opportunity where most people are not. Well, they're not doing the modern marketing in a way, and then I went ahead and started working with political candidates, and we're running ads for them, and it went well. And pretty much, I promised myself that if I make X amount of money with this like side hustle whilst I'm in college, whilst I'm being an athlete, whatever, then I'm gonna be dropping out. Yeah. And then it happened. Pretty much straight away, called my mom like, now I have it. Like, let's go. Pretty much dropped out right away. It was a hard decision. I was thinking about it for a long time, but it was the right one. I can tell that.
And how long ago was this?
I would say now we're closing in on probably 2 years. Obviously it's summer right now, so not 2 years, perhaps like 18 months or something like that. So everything changes quickly. Life has been flying by. Yeah. Still feels weird because it was like yesterday when everything started happening, but. Yeah, I think like 18 months ago or something like that.
That's cool. That is crazy. That is super, super wild. So, like, can you remember at all, like, what was the main challenges or problems that you faced when you started, like, your first? And I think you have been running the same agent pretty much the whole time, at least the same name. So, yeah. What kind of challenges, problems you had, obstacles, any mental stuff, any like actual, like, what was it like?
Yeah, I feel like the main problem was the mentality beforehand. Like I always, if someone asked me like what should I do if I'm in the beginning phases, like for such a long time I was just like being a perfectionist, thinking about should I have this name, then the website, and should I do this and should I do that. And then just like at one moment I was like, I'm gonna go all in, I'm gonna sacrifice everything, I'm gonna like cut all the distractions out and actually go all in like I promised myself. Then when that happened, it was like relentless action, like, okay, website done in like 2 hours. And then let's start reaching out. Okay, what do I need to do next? Okay, I need email domains. Okay, how can I warm up the domains? And it was like, after like years of watching like stuff like this, watching podcasts or listening podcasts and trying to find the ways to do it and make it so-called. But then once you just like start taking action, it was pretty like, in like 50 days, you can pretty much change your life.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy.
So yeah, I guess the main obstacle for me was to start, just like go all in. Yeah. But after that, it was like, I've always been in a way like determined, and when I know that I want something, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, but I just need to like set it. Yeah. And after that, it was like a bullet train. Yeah. And pretty smoothly after that.
That's super sick. Was there any fear or any doubts or anything when you went for it? Obviously, going from hockey to running a business, that's like pretty big change. So was there anything like that?
Yeah, gotta be honest, it wasn't like perfect. It was super scary. Like in the beginning, I spent so much time speaking with my family and like trying to, like, should I actually do this? Like for example, to go to the US, play like as a student athlete. It's not like a cheap process, and like it's everyone was kind of like, this was the dream, the supposed dream. So for me to pretty much say to everyone that fuck that, we're not gonna be going that route. I know you all kind of like had big dreams about it. It was scary. Yeah. But then once you jump in, it's just like you kind of forget about it in 2 weeks. But the first point of actually just making it happen was like, you were thinking about like 24/7, like, oh fuck, should I do this? Should I not? And especially I had like close friends who were like telling me like, no, don't don't do this. Like my roommate back in Westfield where I was living was like, no, like you're so good at hockey, like stay here for another season. This was your like first season here, and like stay here. You can do the business here and this and that. And then pretty much saying to everyone that no, I'm gonna carve my own path. That was very scary, especially when people were having so high expectations to kind of having a finance degree and playing hockey or whatever. So to kind of say fuck both of those, take a huge risk, that was scary, I gotta be honest.
I can imagine. It wasn't like for most people when they start a business, they just like start a side hustle with their like next to their 9 to 5 or whatever it might be. But for you, there was like a way bigger decision, like okay, I need to set the hockey aside, I don't have time to do this, I'm gonna drop out, all of these things. So it probably was like a bigger. How did your family feel about it, especially your dad? Because I think if he was like a hockey player, he might have had like similar dreams for you. But how did they take it?
That's interesting because I've always been like, I don't have like rags to riches story. Like everyone was supporting, everyone was kind of like pushing me up, which I'm something that I'm very grateful about. But the hockey stuff, like following my father's steps for so long, and then especially like this part was supposed to be kind of the point. To pretty much say no to that was hard. But at the end of the day, I think he kind of understood it, and he's always like given me kind of like freedom. Like he knows he can trust me. He knows that whatever he's going to be doing, he's going to be exceeding. And it felt to me that I had his support, but it's funny now because I had a talk with him and he was like, I really didn't know what the fuck are you doing. And I was like, oh really? Well, but I appreciated in that time when I kind of needed the support, he gave it to me. And especially with my mom as well, I'm super grateful. All of them were supporting me and kind of always knew that whatever Kasper decides to do, he's going to be doing it well. I never was a kid who like did anything pretty much bad. Like I was always, and I had no strict rules at all. Like I could do whatever I wanted, but I never decided to do anything bad. So they kind of knew that, okay, well, he's a disciplined guy, and if he wants to pursue entrepreneurship, he's probably going to be doing it well. And then also had the proof of like, hey, I actually made this happen. This is my website. This is all our clients. I got 5-star reviews. Like this is going well. So I had their support, but the hockey thing was heartbreaking. Yeah,
I can imagine. That's also really funny. Like I had the same thing. I don't really have a rags to riches story. Yeah. Like I feel like when you go to YouTube or whatever, everyone always like, teachers told me I'm never gonna. Bro, I have never heard a teacher say that to anyone, bro. Whose teacher says you're not gonna make it? You're a fucking idiot. But yeah, that's super good to hear.
Yeah.
So obviously then fairly soon after that point, like you started working with political candidates. I remember we were talking about it on IG before you were in Agent Velocity. Like at what point did Agent Velocity come into the picture? When did you like hear about it, or how long or how far in your journey were you at that point?
Yeah. So pretty much it all started in my it's not like a college dorm, but our college apartment where we were living. Kind of like a frat house, to be honest, and I was like pretty much the usual. You get some food, you watch a YouTube, whatever at the same time. I saw your mustache and clicked right away, like, okay, this is something interesting, like Finnish guy, like what is this? Clicked on it, was pretty much hooked right away. And then when I started, I saw the opportunity with the political candidates. I kind of knew that, okay, I need some skills to get these clients. Like obviously the idea is pretty good, I see the opportunity, but somehow I need to convince them that they should trust me and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from the cold email side of stuff from you and your free like YouTube videos and guides. Then I applied those. I got the results. I think I booked like 45 meetings whilst in college, waking up like 5 a.m. to have those calls with political candidates from Finland. And I kind of saw the proof of concept, like getting these meetings was pretty easy. So then after those elections were over, I was kind of with nothing, and I dropped out, and I was like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna handle this. I'm just gonna think of which path should I take, and it felt pretty natural that, okay, I got the skill of acquiring clients. I know how to convert them from a cold lead to a closed deal, and then it was natural for me to start doing that for other B2B companies, because I also noticed that with, especially in Scandinavia, like the market sophistication level is quite low. People don't really know how to do outbound or get new clients and stuff like that. So once I kind of learned that skill set, it felt pretty natural to keep going with that. And then Leevi just turned into lead generation. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's crazy that you weren't doing lead generation before, but your agency was called Leevi. It's fucking wild. Amazing. But then, then I don't know, it has been almost a year at this point, since you joined AV, and obviously also one thing to mention, you didn't join alone, you have like a crazy good business partner,
100%.
Ronnie. So shout out to him. He isn't here, unfortunately, he's a busy guy, but yeah, so you and Ronnie joined, and that's like almost a year ago. So how was that? How did that happen? Why did you decide to join?
Yeah, well, I remember that pretty much all the knowledge that I applied was from you, which obviously I were in courses or got some other teachings as well, but all those fundamentals that actually got me the success that I wanted were those teachings from free videos from you. So then I kind of knew that, okay, like if I want to go from X point to the next point, we gotta have someone to kind of guide us. And it was pretty much pre-sold. I think like we were at some stage and I was like, well, I pretty much should buy this at this point. Like this feels a little bit weird that I'm already this far, but I haven't like joined the group. So then we just joined the group.
Yeah, I think you pretty early on messaged me on like IG or something, and you were like, yeah, we're gonna join soon, but like super. That was probably like when you booked like hella calls with the political candidates. You're like, yeah, this shit is working really well. We're gonna join at some point.
Yes,
I was like, damn,
exactly.
this guy is killing it.
Yeah, we were just busy and obviously, just needed the right time to go from point X to the next point, and I feel like that's the reason we joined.
100%. That's super fire. So obviously there's like different milestones, and we're gonna get into it in a bit later on, like how like all of the bigger milestones. But obviously there's like the main first things is like to hit like 10K a month. How was that like? Do you feel it was easy to get there, or how was your journey from 0 to 10K a month, like in the beginning?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I feel like ever since you get the first kind of like online money, the dopamine is so fucking insane. Yeah. But after that, it's like, well, it doesn't feel the same. But obviously the 10K mark, like I think around a year ago, I remember, because it's now June and like some memories came up from my phone, and I think like around a year ago when we hit that, like I was a little bit in shock and I was celebrating, and not too long, but just had like a moment of like, wow, like we're actually here. But I feel like the first money that you actually make is like, that's the craziest part. Like the dopamine of actually getting that online money, even though it sounds cliche and cringy, but that feels insane. But then that 10K month, you're like, okay, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Like it's way more hectic and you're kind of used to it. So I feel like the 10K mark was not that like insane at that point.
That's what I always tell everyone. Everyone always like dreams about 10K a month. Yeah. But then it's like you never like just accidentally hit 10K a month. You know when it's coming. You pretty well can predict that, okay, this month I'm probably gonna hit it. Yep. So you already know to expect it. And then when you hit it, you're like, damn, this ain't shit. This is like super small. It's nothing to celebrate about.
Exactly. That's when I felt like, okay, well, if this is 10K a month, what I was like dreaming about, like this is not really the dream. This is not gonna be changing my life. Like, first of all, it's revenue, so it's not like personal income take home after taxes. Yeah. So that's good to mention. But still, it was a moment of like, I don't know, gratitude, but at 10K monthly, it's just like the gates open. You kind of see the game differently. You kind of see all the opportunities that you can get, and I feel like the game starts at 10K a month.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I remember, like you also said, the first deal, that's like crazy. I probably fucking cried when I signed my first deal.
Pretty much.
For my Mastermind agency, like years ago. It was like so crazy.
It was so insane.
And then the next deal is like, oh, pretty cool. And then the next one is like, fuck. Yeah. Dope. So yeah, that's really, really funny. So, okay, you hit like 10K a month back then. And we just talked before we came here, we were sitting down for a coffee. Like your past 2 months pretty much have been pretty crazy. So before we go into those 2 months, what happened before? Why did you decide to go on this like crazy heroic journey to like this hyper scale?
I don't know. Just actually, to be completely honest, I feel like the Finnish winter was so depressing that we were staying stagnant for so long. We were kind of for a long time bubbling around like 20 to up to 50 for a long time, and but it was not like growing. There were always like bottlenecks and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, kind of, it was just the usual grind. It kind of once you're at that point, like there's no dopamine. It's just like put your head down and work. Yeah. But perhaps we didn't have like the clear goals. What do we want to accomplish? By when? By like how can we do that? So it was a little bit unclear. It was just like, okay, we got here. like now what? And then we for way too long time just stayed there, just doing the usual stuff. But then I also think like with expertise, you kind of understand more, you see the opportunities once again, and perhaps I spent a little bit more time outside of the business and kind of zooming out, like what is it that we want to do here. And then I entered the grind again, went in, and then we made those things happen, and it's been crazy the past 2 months.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, I think May, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 256 meetings or something like that.
I think 254.
Fucking hell. So 254 discovery calls. Yeah. First of all, that's crazy. How did you do that? What did you do to fucking book that many discos?
I mean, I gotta give credits where credits are due. Like, I'm in a position now where I'm not writing any campaigns or touching any automations or touching any lead scraping, and that's wonderful. So I'm not the one writing the campaigns, but I made the decision to invest in talent that are able to write those campaigns and get those results. So I saw a few opportunities with a lot of talented people that were already in the space. I kind of spoke with them, so like told them that there's a opportunity to join kind of like a bigger brand perhaps, and get better results and be paid well as well. So if that's something they were interested in, like they could perhaps join. So I gotta give credits to getting those meetings to our team, because they actually got the meetings. I wasn't the one like finding the ways, even though I was kind of perhaps seeing the vision of how we should do it and who should we have doing it, and also after like a year of testing, you kind of see what works. And especially now, just to perhaps give something like how did we do it, what I know from my perspective, not touching the campaigns but being in the meetings, from what I've noticed is that kind of the whole space is changing a little bit, so you got to be standing out way more. There's a lot of bad noise in the market, so even though you're thinking like, oh, saturation, like fuck, this doesn't work anymore, that's not the case. That's an opportunity for you to stand out. So I guess we kind of, well, I remember this discussion quite clearly actually, because we were like, okay, well, we're booking X amount of meetings, perhaps like 40, 50 per month, but like what seems to work? We analyzed our campaigns, and always it was the campaigns that's like pretty much called out the BS and was straightforward, and in a way, like if you can tell, like funny types of approaches. So we pivoted away from kind of selling and marketing in the emails, but just being like a human to human kind of interactions. And we invested a lot on that, and we know our guy Joona, if he's watching this, writing the campaigns, he really like has the expertise to have those human to human creative campaigns, and those have been printing.
Yeah, he's a killer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joona. I hope he's watching. He better be.
Yeah, better be. I'm telling him.
Amazing. And I also, before we get into like what came out from those hundreds of meetings, but like it's really clear, at least from my perspective, obviously it maybe not translate that well into the camera in like 30 minutes in the recording, but at least from my perspective, like you're a really strong like visionary and like really strategic leader behind the company, and you had like the idea what you did with Leevi, like combining it with and like creating this bigger brand and all of these different things, like a unique positioning in the market. Really like visionary stuff. And when you first pitched me the idea or like showed me the idea on Slack, I was like, holy shit, that's so smart. How the fuck have I not thought about this? Where do you think that's come from? Is that something that you've always been, just like always seen like the bigger picture, or has it been something that you have had to learn into when working with Ronnie, your business partner, or how did that come about?
I feel like it was always kind of natural for me. Back to my hockey days, I used to be kind of like a playmaker rather than a goal scorer. So I kind of, sounds cliche, but saw kind of the game in a way that a playmaker does. He shows where the puck is going to be going, not where it is right now. Yeah. So I guess it was a little bit more natural for me to be more creative, more of a playmaker. But I guess it was just natural. But I lived in Sweden for 5 years. I lived in Norway for 1 year. And for context, that's kind of perhaps the idea that we had for the Scandinavian market, combining those markets and having a kind of like an exclusive access to those markets with the native languages and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes just ideas come to me. I go from an idea to execution, and that's also the key part. You got to go from the idea to execution. Yeah. A lot of people have a lot of good ideas. I noticed myself, I have a good idea sometimes, but you got to go to the execution. But yeah, I guess to round it up, I was always kind of like a natural, more of a zoom out, see the ideas and opportunities.
Yeah, and then also, and I think because some people are gonna watch this and they're gonna think, that's not me. I won't be able to make it. They're gonna immediately start coping. You obviously have a business partner, Ronnie, who is like the other side, like a strategical and tactical leader, CEO, COO. How is that working, and like what's that natural for him, and how does your like how have you learned into working with it, like into your own strengths and can you a little bit cover about that, like dynamic?
100%. Yeah, it's good to conclude that I'm not doing this by myself. He's the operator. So if I'm the visionary guy, he's the operator, and that's without. Quite clear to say that without him and him being the operator in the business, it would be super hard for me to exceed in my kind of focus. So yeah, I think right now it's pretty good. In the beginning stages, we were kind of like both, obviously young, want to be learning skill sets, both wanted to do sales, both wanted to do marketing, both wanted to do this. But at the end of the day, you got to decide like, okay, like this is my strength and this is your strength. And even if it wasn't, like for example with Ronnie, he was kind of wanting to be doing sales and stuff like that, but now he's like a forced data operator. But he's really great at it. So, and he seems to like it as well. So I didn't just like force him to like do the operations. Yeah, it feels right now pretty natural, and especially like if you want to, for example, running a business by yourself, if you want to be doing sales, lead gen, branding, creative stuff, VSLs, like there's so many moving parts. So if you want to be like having all of those in your skill sets, which is good, but you can kind of expect yourself to be perhaps average in all of them. But if you have like a business partner who's doing the other half of the business and I'm doing the other half of the business, most likely I'm going to be better at this, like way beyond average, and the same with the other side. So I feel like it was kind of like a natural decision. And also you guys said to us that, hey, you got to do the same split, visionary and operator. So that was established pretty quickly, and after that it was the right decision.
Yeah, it's huge, because that's also what we learned with Rob, with AV and all of the other stuff that we do. It's so great. It's like I think
100%.
Rob is like supernatural operator, so it's like he doesn't want to be on sales calls. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to do YouTube videos. He don't want to fucking sit here on the podcast. And then also for me, it's like I don't really want to be playing around with Zapier automation. So when you get the dynamic working, it's like both feel. That's how you know it's good, when both feel that you got to get the better end of the stick,
100%.
Like you split some tasks together and you're like, fuck, that guy got like the worst deal, and then he feels the other way.
Exactly, and especially in the beginning when you're like having stress and anxiety about everything in the business. But then once you have like that free mental space of someone else is actually taking care of this and he's going to be doing it well, and I'm going to be taking care of this and I'm going to be doing it well, then kind of the stress relief, probably for example with Ronnie, that he doesn't have to take any single of those 254 meetings. He doesn't have to sit on those. He doesn't have to think about how to pitch, when to pitch, like all of that stuff. He doesn't even have to think about it on a daily basis. And same with me, I don't have to think about some operations, automations that I even don't know about.
Yeah.
Quite often when I get some questions about like, how do you do this and what kind of provider do you use for this? And I'm like, I don't know. No idea.
No fucking idea.
No clue.
That is the perfect scenario. So last month you do 254 discovery calls. And like there's this, I know you're obviously aware of this, but there's this like really traditional rule in like B2B sales that the stuff that you do today, like you're gonna see the results in like 60 to 90 days. So if you book in May like 250 calls, like the next 3 months are gonna be fucking crazy. And I think you have already started seeing the effects.
Yes.
The past few weeks, you have been closing deals like crazy. So you mentioned, how has the past few weeks been now after booking like a few hundred calls?
Yeah, so good to also mention that once we booked like those were the KPIs for May. So those meetings are going to be on our calendar end of May and then also June. So we're kind of at that stage right now. Like I'm at the point where I'm also like thinking about, should I give my calendar to my girlfriend or something like that? Like I don't have any time. But yeah, the results have been like, obviously the more meetings, the more money you collect. It's pretty simple. So yeah, it's been crazy. Like I think I can't calculate how much like retainers are we stacking in and how many deals have we been closing. And if we like calculate the deal sizes from like the last month and put them together, like the number is insane. And for example, this week we closed a $10 million firm for a 90K deal.
Yeah.
Which is just like
euros.
Yes. Yeah. Which is insane. but then it's like, okay, we closed 4 other clients.
Yeah.
Like you're not even thinking about it. So it's like every day, as I've been posting wins on the AV chat as well, like it just, I don't know, it just feels surreal in many ways. Like everything, the hard work is right now like hitting, and it's like you're actually reaping the rewards out of that. So it feels insane, but yeah, I'm still a little bit in shock of what's happening.
Yeah, I can imagine. What kind of MRR are you doing right now with Leevi in general?
Yeah, so today, as I'm naturally checking the CRM every day, like seeing the dopamine from that, so right now we're at like 65K retainers in USD.
Yeah, and you have some performance on top of that.
Yes, with pretty much every single client on top of those retainers we have, as they're recurring for usually around 6 months, we have some revenue shares pretty much, I think, on every single deal.
Yeah, I can't remember seeing a deal from you that hasn't had.
Yeah, not in a long time.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I think since the beginning you've had the same pricing model.
Yeah, pretty much should increase it. But yeah, pretty much always the same deal structure. But it's like the sweet spot. It's working right now, so we're schizo scaling.
Yeah, 100%. And I also saw a really funny tweet from you. By the way, if someone doesn't follow Kasper on Twitter, it's gonna be in the description. Really good shit. But I saw a tweet from you. It was something along the lines of like a branding enthusiast forced to turn into a sales chat.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're taking like a few hundred calls a month, you're gonna be learning a lot about sales.
Yes.
How has the calls been going? Have you seen big like progress in your sales abilities? You're closing a lot of deals, so any learning from there?
Yeah, that's interesting because I had this analogy yesterday actually with the team. Like because I can't keep taking all of these meetings. Like I don't have any perspective on things because I'm just in meetings. Calendar is fully packed. But I'm kind of like as a hockey analogy, a playmaker forced to be a goal scorer right now, which is interesting. But I'm learning a lot. It's obviously a skill set that we need to have. It's obviously like it works in all phases of life. But to be completely honest, I haven't been progressing as much as I would have liked to, because I kind of noticed that I went from like, okay, let's say I have 4 calls today. I went from that, or let's say I have 2 or 1 closing call. So when you have that, you're like preparing, you're thinking about it, you're like analyzing yourself and going into that meeting. But right now when you have like 10, you just like click link, join, and it's just a routine. So I kind of noticed myself like just participating, which is not ideal at all. Like I kind of had to check myself, like, so do you want to actually become a sales Chad? Or do you want to like just participate as a sales rep? So lately I kind of noticed that my development on that side of the business I have been neglecting it because I'm just like participating. But at the same time, I guess it's a little bit natural at this state that I can't like watch 2 hours of my sales calls and analyze them and then work on the pitch deck, because I'm just sending proposals pretty much. But yeah, I've been learning a lot, and obviously forced to speak English from morning till evening, and it's a process, but I guess it's very, very, very like good for me. Yeah,
100%. And also, if you have like 5 to 10 calls a day, there's like just getting through those calls is like a big task. It takes crazy amount of energy, especially if it's like cold prospects. It's like it's so draining.
It is.
That then,
especially as a Finnish person.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's your second language. You do like 10 calls. They are not even like client calls. They're like sales calls where you need to be like alert. Like on top of that, trying to like add like development and like strategically planning and trying to be like really present on the calls, super fucking hard. It's like
extremely
really
hard.
You have to be a giga chat.
It's like a routine at this point, just.
Yeah. So can you like obviously right now you're like turbo scaling. You went from like 0 to 65K a month in like really fast time span, like a bit over a year, I think, if I'm correct. And you have been building like a really sick team. Everything seems to be going really well. But what kind of problems or struggles are you facing right now when going through this phase of like just turbo scaling, like just on the business side, but also there's probably some things on the personal side. You're just working all the time. What kind of stuff is there?
A lot of stuff. Obviously it's not just the glory of closing deals and sipping mojitos in Bali or something like that. I wish it would be, but I'm pretty much like working 12 to 14 hours a day. Only like I just check my Whoop stats and like 5 hours sleeps every single day. It's not optimal, but I'm willing to sacrifice for a while. But yeah, there are a lot of stuff. Some growth pains, obviously, with companies that are growing fast. You gotta like, for example, with me, like hiring, training, delegating, automating, like that's now the focus. But for example, hiring is pretty hard, and you don't think about it in the beginning. Like you're trying to find the right people, and you're thinking of should I have a VA for this, and should I have this and that. But actually having like killers at this stage to go from X numbers to the second goal, that's hard to do. Super hard to do. So we're kind of dealing with that pain right now of, okay, we're scaling fast, we're getting new clients fast, but obviously you have limited manpower. So what should be the path next? Should we like pilot to more perhaps like VIP, where we only select X amount of clients rather than having a lot of them? Should we be more productized? Like there are multiple ways to go about it. I think we have a pretty good picture right now where we want to be going. But as with growth, there are a lot of pains as well, bottlenecks. But I would say the main things: how can we hire, train, delegate, eliminate, automate as quickly as possible, and also then have the right people in the company that are actually going to be sticking there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not just building like a aggressive direct response company. You're building like an actual brand, and you have team culture and everything that you have taken into consideration. So it's like obviously not as easy.
Yeah, it's far away from kind of perhaps the 10K months solopreneur lifestyle that you get a picture of. So now it's more about being an actual company and trying to have a team, because obviously you can't do everything yourself. And with for example, the meetings, I'm not getting the meetings, someone else is. So trying to build an actual company, that's the next step, and it's obviously a process.
Yeah. What's the 10-year vision for Leevi? Do you have a 10-year vision?
I could bullshit here, and we're gonna be doing this, and then it's gonna be that. Probably just thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah, just 10-hour vision.
Yeah, we do have a lot of ideas. We do have a lot of ideas. I think we have a pretty clear next 1 to 2 years how we want to go about it. Now we're probably gonna be taking, like I was saying about the paths, what should be the next path, because obviously scaling this works, but if you want to be kind of sustainable growth, you gotta be smart about it. So we have some ideas, but it's still like in the works. We gotta right now, once again, kind of hopefully get a sales guy to take those meetings for me, so I can kind of zoom out, then take a look at the business. Okay, what next? What is from this to the next stage? But it's still in the kind of the ideation phase.
Yeah, makes sense. That's super crazy. That is it is super wild. What do you think has been like the biggest learning lesson from, like, I would say has been like few stages, at least looking from the outside, like last year, etc. But now we are like in a completely different level, just going super hardcore, adding like 10K MRR every single week, closing huge like 100K deals almost. What do you think has been the biggest lesson that you have personally gotten from this?
Big question. The biggest lesson, wow, I think perhaps it is just kind of the mentality. I've always been more of a mindset guy. So just if you're willing to go all in and actually make those sacrifices, like, then that's the way, pretty much. And I feel like most are not willing to actually sacrifice, go out of their comfort zone and actually go all in on their dreams. But once you do that, everything is possible. For example, the last year, I've sacrificed my health. I've like everything, pretty much. Obviously, there are probably people that are not happy with that, some friends that are cut off or other things, but if you're willing to do those sacrifices, you're going to be probably getting the rewards. And I guess the lesson from all of this would be that you got to be willing to make those sacrifices. Once you do, and once you actually go all in, no distractions, nothing, just you and the goal that you set, then everything is actually possible. So I feel like it's more of a mentality thing. And if you're actually going all in, everything is possible, but just gotta go all in.
Yeah, 100%. Do you ever have any, when you're going all in and you're sacrificing a lot of shit, do you have any doubts ever about it? Or are you ever thinking, is this smart? Or are you like, yeah, 100% of course, just all in, all gas, no brakes?
There are times, obviously, when you're kind of doubting yourself and you're thinking like, is this worth it? And then you're missing like, I don't know, like some family celebrations or this and that, and perhaps people are not the happiest with you, and why is he always working, and can you have some time for me as well, and stuff like that. So it is sometimes like creeping in, but it's all part of a bigger vision, and I think people can understand it in my kind of like inner circle that for a while now. I will have my do not disturb mode on, and it's gonna be hard to reach me, but I'm willing to make those sacrifices for a few years so we can perhaps all live a better life, let's say in a few years.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything that you wish you had? Obviously now you have like a lot of lessons that you've gotten, but is there any things that you wish someone had told you before you started on this? Like, did anything like catch you by surprise, or if there was one thing you could tell your like self like a year ago, what would it be?
I guess the analyzing for the part of like actually growing the company, there are a lot of lessons, but I keep kind of repeating myself, like if instead of waiting for years and kind of seeing everything passing by, and for example after the Lake Como event, if I were just straight away went all in, I would have probably been here a lot earlier. So I don't want to have like regrets, but if I were to go back to my old self, who was kind of like checking out these videos and studying and looking at some courses and taking notes and just like being a perfectionist. I'm gonna do the website later on, and I'm gonna perhaps when this season is over, the hockey season or whatever, then I can focus on this. Fuck all that. Just like start right now, because everything is kind of clear once you start. Because I noticed kind of you have so much like ideas and the fogginess and everything when you are like thinking about doing stuff, but once you kind of enter the train and you just go once again all in and you're taking action, then like all the fogginess kind of goes away and it's you and the goal, and then you can just like okay, website, how do I do that? And you're just like learning so quickly. So if I were to go back to my old self, or people who are watching, just like instead of spending time thinking about doing this at some point when everything is perfect, start actually just now.
Because there's no perfect time.
There's
never
no
gonna be a perfect time.
Exactly. You're waiting for the perfect time, it doesn't happen.
And there's also a really good quote that I think that applies really well to that. It's I will fuck it up super hard, but it's something along the lines of go as far as you can see and you'll see farther. Which is I think like really, because like I see this all the time. People are like, okay, now if I do this and then XYZ happens and I run into this problem, what I'm gonna do then? People are like already preparing for problems that might happen in 6 months. It's like fucking useless. Do you still have that, or have you like already learned to just like not care, just focus on today or tomorrow? Yeah,
I'm trying to. I feel like it's pretty natural at this point to not like stress. Like there's probably a good quote about like if you're in the past then you have like, I don't know, anxiety, or no, if you're in the future, if you're thinking about the future you have anxiety, and if you're in the past you're like, I don't know what's the quote, but anyways, I'm trying to kind of focus on what matters right now. There's some ideas like, okay, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 7 years, whatever, but right now just focusing on the right moment. And once again, going back to the last point of the starting now, it kind of came to mind that I saw perhaps this one quote, I don't know who said it, but he said like, if you're able to start when things are not perfect, like imagine the state when everything is perfect. Like for example, right now when I started with, I don't know if it was perfect or not, perhaps more on the not perfect side, but now that things are kind of in a good position in many ways, like I'm able to actually enjoy it, and better start at the worst position than the best position.
I think I might be wrong. I think that might be Mr. Hormozy who said it. I think it's one of his objection handlers for when people are saying, this
sounds like him.
Time. That's super fire. So how do you think all of this, like obviously you've been now almost a year a part of Agent Velocity. How do you think that has had an impact? Has it had an impact at all? Or if it has, what? So where do you think you would be otherwise?
Interesting. Perhaps I could be selfish and say that I always knew that I could go far. And I'm probably going to be a little bit selfish that I know that always, no matter what, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But the amount of help that you can get, like for example, you probably had a lot of mistakes, and then you can pretty much, instead of me going out there and being a stupid fuck, there's someone telling me don't be a stupid fuck. So it's quite simple. Instead of me, for example, wasting 4 months thinking about some stuff, there's like you get the teaching in a few minutes. So I feel like it's a shortcut. Having the right information, it's a shortcut. Rather than thinking and in a way being selfish that I can do it all myself, not trusting anyone else, not getting the information from anyone else, not having a guidance. You, like for example with me, I could probably be at this position, but it would have probably, to be completely honest, take me like 3 years instead of 1. So I feel like that's the impact. And obviously when we had the event here some time ago, and like all of that stuff, like having the community and you seeing the wins from other guys, now hopefully my wins are inspiring some people and stuff like that. You kind of see that it's all possible, and that's what you need. And you need to be, like nowadays we're all in this kind of digital environment.
Yeah.
So the saying of 5 people around you, whatever. So it's the same with the digital information. Who are you listening to? When are you listening to them? Like pick your people and get the right information. So I feel like having that tight community and actual like teachings inside of it, that you should do this, you should do that, and to conclude, it's a shortcut.
Yeah, because that's actually really well said, because I'm 100% sure, like you alone or you and Ronnie together, you would have for sure built something huge anyways. There's like no doubt about that. And I think that's like that's also the people who we want inside Eerola, that like we don't want to be a savior, we just want to like help out with some things, because like usually those people are just like fucking killers. So I think that would have happened anyways, no matter what. But yeah, so one of the last things I have in mind, hopefully it's really interesting for other people as well. You came in here, you have a vlog camera. What does this mean? Are you gonna be, where can people see this? Are you gonna film me something?
Yeah, for a long time I've been thinking about doing content. Everyone keeps saying like you should do content, you should do this. My team is saying like, why are you not doing content? You should be doing content. The leverage that it can have is huge. So I guess now that's the next step. But I've been neglecting it for long, so I just decided like now I'm fucking picking up the tripod. I'm going to the leaving the comfort zone. For example, today being a Finnish guy in a boat full of Finnish people and you're there with the tripod, it's like so nerve-wracking.
Yeah. It's terrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Everyone's staring at you.
Yeah.
But then like for example, I realized like after 10 minutes like no one cares.
Yeah.
No one knows me, no one understands, like it doesn't really matter. But I feel like the next step is to kind of like, if there was one thing that I wish that I would have started like a year ago, would have to document all of this growth. Like I've like been dreaming if I could like kind of see what happened a year ago, like just have a 10-minute video like breaking down like, oh, I hit 10K a month, or I closed a client, like that would be so insane. But I didn't do that because I was like, fuck, I'm gonna do it when something happens, and I'm gonna do it when I hit 10K a month, or I'm gonna be doing it when I hit 50K a month. Then like, fuck it, now it's time to do that actually. And I guess that's the next stage.
Yeah, that's super cool. So link to Kasper's YouTube channel and all social medias are gonna be in the description. He also has a big IG. Also, I don't think we're gonna be diving that deep into it, but you have been blowing up. You went from like 0 to 90K followers on IG in like fucking 2 months or something crazy. What was that about?
Yeah, it's insane. I'm like, some people come to me, like my friends are like, you're like a fucking influencer. Like you have more followers than all the people in Finland. But to me, it doesn't really, like I don't care about it. This was kind of like perhaps my visionary, like what I saw. For example, if you see my Instagram, it's not about me. It's not about like Hormozy shorts or anything like that. It's about like making these cool animations. And I saw the opportunity, like everyone who were doing those like self-development animations, they were like blowing up on Instagram all over the time. So I kind of thought that no one is actually doing this in the agency space. No one is kind of doing this in the online money space with these cool animations. So I found someone who is able to do those, started posting them, and it just all blew up quite quickly. And saw the opportunity. I remember doing a voice note during like Christmas time to Ronnie, like, I have this idea. I'm not sure if you're going to be liking it. It's going to increase our expenses, but I think this could be something. And then I think we did those for like a month and got like probably 90 followers. And we were like, fuck this. Like, we're not going to be spending money on this. But then after that, it's just like one reel viral. And then it's just like, oh, I have 2,000 followers. Then we were in Dubai with the team and they were like, how many followers do you have now? Like 5. Oh, and now 9. And then by the end of the Dubai trip, I had like probably like 20K. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck happened? So like I was 20 days here in Dubai and 20K followers. So it was insane. And now it's just been, we've been doing the same kind of winning formula and it's growing.
Yeah, it's clear that Dubai, effect. You go to Dubai, you immediately become an IT influencer.
Right away, just Burj Khalifa in a yacht and, influencer.
How it goes,
Good timeline.
That's super fire. Amazing. So the last question that I have for you is, there's obviously a bunch of agency owners, I hope, a bunch of agency owners watching this video. Some of them have just started, some of them already are more established. If you could, just based on your own experience, give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
There's so many things that I could say.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the best one that is actually valuable. But I've been saying this for a long time and now I'm gonna be just repeating myself. But I know there are so many people who are just watching and they're watching and then they're gonna be, after this video, they're gonna be clicking another video. Hopefully or not, but a lot of people are doing that for years. I was one of them, so just fucking go all in.
Yeah.
Like actually, like I had this moment when after Lake Como, I had a 8-hour flight to New York. Like I went from Lake Como, paradise on earth, then to traveling to a shithole in the US and having like a very depressive lifestyle there in the like a prison looking like school and stuff like that. So in that 8-hour journey in the flight, I had a notebook and a pen and I spent the whole 8 hours writing. Like, what do I want out of my life? Who is it that I'm trying to become? And I probably should go back to those notes, but
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do you have the notes still?
I do have the notebook still. I just gotta find them right page because I have a lot of notebooks. But yeah, I pretty much designed all of it. Which feels like, I guess there's a term of like manifesting or whatever. But some people are like, I'm manifesting, but I'm not actually doing anything. So I kind of set a goal, visualized it to the T. What do I want to do? When I want to hit it? How I want to do it? All of that. And after that, it was game mode. And then once you go all in, all the like the noise goes away, and it's scary to jump in, but you gotta jump in. And once you do, it's life changing.
Yeah, that's fucking fire. I think that's good. I think that's a good point to end on. So obviously, all of Kasper's links are gonna be in the description. So his social media, etc. Go follow him. And of course, also check out our links. We have the free course in the description and also the link to agentvelocity.io if you want to join the same mastermind where Kasper is in, or any of our other stuff. And of course, like the video, do all of that cool stuff, and fucking thank you, boom. That's a banger.
Meni mun mielestä aika hyvin.